Hey, good morning, Patriots. It was a soft, cold opening because we'll be talking about Saturday Night Live, but here we are. It's another week, another great day in the USA. I actually spent some time last week with our evil overlord. Good morning, Ed. At his place. Well, not his place. We weren't hanging out on the beach or anything, but we were at Newsmax. So it was a good visit to Mother Earth, Mother Newsmax, and all the team down there. And by the way, uh, if you're not watching Newsmax, you are literally missing out because we just are playing it right down the middle. You get things that you don't get on the mainstream. Well, we are mainstream, but we're getting bigger in the mainstream. So you need to be watching because it's I don't want to say it's Fox in the early days when things were good, but it kind of is. It's kind of like let's figure out how to tell the truth and make it entertaining, and that's what we're doing. But speaking of entertaining and telling the truth, no further do I have to look than Chris Cordani, who does that every day alongside me here on Wake Up Patriots. Well, yesterday's week. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. I was going to say good morning Vietnam because I saw the movie again this weekend. No, good morning Tony Schaefer and good morning Patriots.
Yeah.
There we
Good morning,
go.
Patriots. So I actually, Vietnam's one of our friends now, which is cool. So you can go back there, which is I want to go to Vietnam someday. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I heard the beaches were really nice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're not bombing them, it's amazing what happens, right? So it's a good thing.
Yeah,
It's
well,
good.
they're
Yeah.
still run by commies, so you got to follow their rules.
Well, speaking of being run by commies, I want to start off with Rachel Maddow this morning. Man, oh man, could she be a communist on the beach? That's a rock and roll group's name, Communist on a Beach.
Well, a lot of these bands, yeah, that's about right. Like Rage for the Machine. That's right.
Yeah,
I know they
yeah,
call
man,
themselves
that's a
against,
good
but
name,
they're for the
Communist on a
machine.
Beach. That'd be a fun group. I could just see Rachel Madcow out there in her. What would she wear? Would she wear the divinals, that kind of divinal look?
No,
Kind of that
no,
plastic.
no, 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 no. Do not compare that woman with Chrissy Amphlett. Chrissy Amphlett is a goddess who died way too young.
Yeah, I know. No, she
Oh
was
my
cool.
gosh.
She was
Now,
cool.
I think she would be dressing up in hopes that she was very disappointed last time she went to a concert because it was for a band from the 90s called the Bare Naked Ladies. And
Oh,
she went there and she found out, and then she was more disappointed than Gary Glitter was when he found out he was doing a duet with Girl School, then realized it was a band of women who are of age.
yeah. See, a lot of disappointment out there, and that's too bad. Rachel had some potential, but yeah, I could see why she'd be upset because the Canadians are pretty good at false advertising. Just saying. I mean, the bare naked ladies are really good, but they're not naked and they're not ladies, right?
Yeah,
Pretty sure about that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And she
So
wasn't too fond of the Cherry Poppin' Daddies band either.
yeah. Well, Rachel was on about Miss Communist on the Beach. That should be her new name, I guess. Mad Cow, the
Well, wait,
Communist on the Beach.
Mad Cow Commies on the Beach because the Thirsty
Yeah,
Howell band was taken.
that is taken. But I am wearing my Def Leppard because I did see Def Leppard over the summer in Florida, which
Nice.
I did not do this time. I saw them last time in Florida, not this time. Anyway, I digress because I often do. But anyway, oh, by the way, real quick, a program note. Um, I will be at CPAC on Friday. For those who go to CPAC, you're not going this year, are you? I don't think you're going to be down, are you?
Uh, I'm going to go one of these years. I should go there
Yeah.
because
Well, I'm
we
just
we
I'm
we can
just
set up a
going one
booth
day
down there. We should set up a booth down there one year.
when we get when we get cash. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
next
The
year we're going to be
audience,
doing that.
keep supporting this audience so we get. It's all about the views. You got
Yeah.
to help us by. We're looking for more advertisers, but anyway, so I got to go on my own dime
Yes. We need your
because
support
I
out
can
there.
drive. I can
Spread
just
the
drive.
word. Yeah, spread the
Yeah.
word.
So anyway, so I'm going up Friday for those who, excuse me, for going to be at CPAC. I'll be there the day, and then I got to go over and be on TV with Chris Plant. Our friend Chris. So I'll see Chris later that day. But anyway, so just a program note: I will be at CPAC at least Friday. I know that John Bachman, my friend John's trying to get something else done on Thursday. I can't announce it because we don't know. But if he does it, I'll be there Thursday and Friday. But TBD. Hopefully, we'll know more tomorrow. Anyway, back to the Mad Cow. So, no influence to Mad Cow, because Mad Cow was a DJ, a jock, a shock
Well,
jock,
that's
right? I've
Man
been on
Cow.
with Mad Cow.
Yeah, Man
Man
Cow. Yes, he was cool.
Not Mad Cow,
Right.
like Rachel. Anyway, but Rachel. So Rachel, the reason I'm doing this, I've taken forever to get to my point, which is my job to take get everybody engaged. All
We're
the
eating up
Patriots.
time.
Well, we're making it interesting. Anyway, so Rachel on her show accused Elon Musk of taking bribes from Donald Trump. Like, yeah, that old Elon is getting like 200, was it $200 or $300 million? There she is.
That's Rachel.
Boy, oh boy, yeah.
She
I
looks prettier.
wonder if she does. Does she get her teeth done or something? I don't know. It's interesting because those are good choppers right there. Anyway, she accused Elon of being bribed. All these government contracts. Do you have that clip or not? Because I know I threw this on.
I don't have the clip. I'm digging through it and everything, but
That's okay. Well, I threw it on it. I threw it on you at the last minute, so it's okay. So, but the bottom line is, before we rolled to Saturday Night Live, is that she said that Elon was getting all these multi-million, like hundreds of millions of dollars contract from. Well, turns out a guy named Joe Biden gave him the contracts back before Trump was in. So she had to issue a rare, because she lies a lot, so it's rare for her to admit she lied, a rare on-air apology saying, never mind, it wasn't Donald Trump who gave Elon Musk all those contracts. It was actually Joe Biden, Joe Bidenopoulos, as our friends over at the Duran call him. Did you know Joe Bidenopoulos is the son of Greece? I didn't know that till and Alex Christopheros said that, by the way, which is, I guess, true. So.
Really? Well, think about this. Elon Musk got these contracts because he was the EV guy during the Biden administration.
Yeah,
he was part of the actual idea where the Biden administration wanted to convert everybody to electric vehicles by, what was it, 2035?
Right.
That wasn't going to happen. He was big in that. And look, Rachel Maddow gets a bit of information from her interns or her young producers, and she just turns it around without verifying it herself and announces it on the air. Didn't that get Alex Jones in trouble at one point?
Well, Alex was always in trouble, but he was in trouble for the right reasons. On retrospect, he was actually, I'm still waiting to hear the tree frogs turning gay yet. I don't know about that, but I don't track tree frogs. I don't care about tree frogs. Anyway, but maybe that's what happened. Do you think it's possible that Rachel Maddow licked a green tree frog and became gay? Is that possible? Is that like science fiction, or could that have happened? I don't know. That sounds like a Netflix series to me.
It actually sounds like something that USAID would cover.
Yeah.
So there we go. Maybe that's in the book, or maybe that's in the conference over there. Maybe that's the one that Elon kept secret from us.
Well, speaking of that, did you hear this this conservative influencer had Musk's 13th baby a few days ago?
Is that chick that she was kind of a grifter? Isn't that chick that had an OnlyFans page?
Yeah, I think I think she's cute. So I guess Elon's been stopping off and sleeping in other places than government buildings. Just saying.
Well, what he's doing is spreading his seed around the world to reproduce little Elons and start an Elon army around the world. He's gonna insert microchips in their brain.
That's right. It's going to be like the boys from Brazil Part 2. Only the good guys do it.
Well, this goes to show. Here's the thing: we appreciate what Elon Musk is doing, and he's doing a really good thing now. But this is why our side never worships a man. In the absence of, we talked about this. In the absence of religion or a god, people worship humans. People worship status. And this is why the left gets all in a tizzy about Musk and Trump, because we think like they do. They think we're worshiping these two, where we just hired Trump to do a job and hire the right people. Elon, we have to keep an eye on both of them. Remember, there are employees at this point.
Yeah,
and that's that's what the left doesn't realize. We're not looking for a leader. We're looking for somebody to do a job.
Yeah, and I posted a picture on X that showed Tulsi, Elon, JFK Jr., RFK Jr., and Trump. And someone said all these folks used to be Democrats, which is true. This is true. They used to be Democrats. And that's the point, is that the Democrat Party is so corrupt, you can't get things done over there because it's all about grifting. And oh, by the way, another thing I saw you comment on. I know we'll get to Saturday Night Live here in a second, but you saw I posted yesterday and you commented on it, the strangely weird. Yeah, there's the picture. There's the picture right there. But I posted, a few years ago in 2017. Were you with us in 2017? I think you were, Chris.
No, I wasn't. And I did comment on what you posted on Nosebook, but it's very important to note what the Lennon Center has done. Yes.
Yeah.
I was part of you at 2000 forward.
So basically, the Daily Beast attacked me and us. I'm in the article because I didn't want to be in the article, but I got stuck in the article. And basically, it was a Daily Beast attacking us, a think tank who was independent and unknown. And they call it, this is the creepily influential Trumpist foreign policy think tank you've never heard of. It's like, yeah, you never heard of us because we're not corrupt. We're not getting money from U.S. aid. We're not out in the ecosphere getting enriched.
Dr. London stays quiet. Dr. London always stayed quiet, and he was. I mean, he's done a lot. He was a great man. He's got a rock album, by the way. Hasn't he had a rock?
He had a rock hit. Yeah, it was. I don't remember the name. It was like "We're Not Going Steady." I think that's the name of the song. "We're Not Going Steady."
Right. Definitely, he has a better rock career than John Kerry had, or Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, and I can tell you.
Well, I don't know. John Kerry, I still think he could make bank if he did the Munsters, the movie, the Munsters 2025. I think he could make money on that.
Then he can get what's his name, Anthony Blinken, to don the Eddie Munster wig and play guitar for him.
Oh my God,
absolutely perfect. You're a genius.
Perfect. And then and he could play to. Well, we're crossing the beam then because we could do a crossover with Gomez and. A Tuesday on the Addams Family. Wouldn't that be a great crossover? Have someone come in and play. Have Alyssa Milano come in and play Tuesday, and have we have to still find someone who can play Lurch besides.
Lurch could be played by what was that? George Mirasan. Unless he's dead. Is he dead now? George Mirasan.
I don't know.
7'7" basketball. Sean Bradley's still alive, isn't he? He could play Lurch.
I think so.
He's 7'6", or Yao Ming is 7'5".
Yeah. So anyway, well, let's get to some funny stuff because we're talking about funny stuff, but it's not intentional funny stuff. It's like these people are nuts funny, which is funny in its own way, but sad. So, by the way, before I digress again, you know that joke I came up with on the air about Dr. Fauci in a pocket? It went over very well at the event. Real quick, another admin note.
Okay.
Shout out to Fran and Diane Ventura. They did a masterful job.
That's right. How was that?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. The National Veterans Parade Foundation Gala. Man, oh, man. I'll post some pictures later. I haven't had time because I've been on the road. But it couldn't have gone any better. We had, by the way, Mar-a-Lago. I have fought going there for years, and I'm going to continue to fight going there. I don't like being... I know this sounds strange. I don't like being in the limelight, but it is what it is. Anyway, Mar-a-Lago is spectacular, especially this time of year when we're all cold. I mean, it's cold up here again already where I'm at in North Carolina. I know it's cold where you're at in New York. So it was 82 degrees, a nice breeze coming off the water, a beautiful sunset. Anyway, the event was sold out. They had over 400 people come to this, and it was spectacular. And so Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn, my friend Mike, was the keynote,
right? And
we had a spectacular time. By the way, Trump runs that place like I think his philosophy is every guest should be treated like I'd want to be treated, because that's the way people got treated. It was amazing. Yeah, there it is. We're coming up this year to do the parade. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be bigger than last year. Huge, as Donald Trump would say.
We'll
and
get the
it's
Venturas on again. Yes.
it's getting bigger. So anyway, so I was there as the first Grand Marshal, which I was, and the second, yeah, thank you. Well, thank you, thank you. Let me, yeah, thank you. Yes, someone's MK Hart said that I look good in the limelight. Well,
You
thank you.
always look good in the limelight.
I like being in the background anyway. But so we got going, and it was we had to be screened by Secret Service. We had some crashers. The crashers didn't make it through. So that's a good sign. And it was an amazing 3 hours. And so we had the event. We'll talk more. As a matter of fact, let's invite the Venturas on. I meant to text you that over the weekend, but I was so darn tired I forgot.
That's that we should do anyway.
We'll do it. Well, anyway, so we'll text them. We'll let them come talk about it. Anyway, to suffice to say, it was a spectacular event. Had a great auction, sold a lot of stuff for the event. Obviously, this thing is expensive, and the auctioneer went through some of the expenses the foundation has to pay for this. Anyway, my point I was trying to get to, I came up with on the air because we were talking about the Fauci Museum, Dr. Fauci in a pocket. Who doesn't want it? And anyway, it was hilarious. People loved it, Chris. By the way, it was a great line. What's that?
I would assume they would love it. I mean, it looked like a great event. It looked like something spectacular down there, and the weather was certainly a lot better than it was up here.
Oh yeah, yeah. You couldn't find a snowball to be thrown down there. Just saying. So it's not possible. But anyway, so I digress. It was great for those who showed up. God bless you. Thank you. For those who didn't, you'll have an opportunity next year, or at least to go to the parade. But it'll be fun. So okay. So well. Let's do one more thing before we bring in the Colonel. We're going to bring in one of our Colonel friends in a second. But Saturday Night Live. Let's hit Saturday Night Live real quick because I promised we're going to hit that. So they had their 50th anniversary. Wasn't Taylor Not So Swift upset about something and she didn't want to be on it? And Lauren Michaels responded, "I don't deal with terrorists" or something like that. What's going on?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what happened. I will tell you this. It's weird how this thing got on here. So I'm working I'm working on a little bit of a technical difficulty right now. Yeah, but yeah. So I'll fix that little technical glitch here as we talk here.
Sure.
But I'm not exactly sure what the deal with Taylor Swift was. I don't care. I was tired of it. I thought the most atrocious thing was Miley Cyrus and that I don't know, whatever that thing was next to it, doing a horrible rendition of Prince's "Nothing Compares to You." That was just terrible.
So, I don't know why they want to butcher really good songs, but they all seem to do it. I see it all the time. And I like Miley Cyrus. I think she's kind of cool. I mean, if I had a chance to sit down and have a conversation, I'd have a conversation with her. I think she's a lot of these people have some really interesting experiences, but I just don't know why they would do that. Butcher songs,
Well, that's what they do. They what was I gonna? I was flabbergasted watching this. I thought maybe Prince was rolling over in his grave, and Sinead O'Connor too, and she's not even dead yet.
Yeah, no, she's dead.
Oh, that's okay. That was pretty horrible. I don't even remember anymore. But it was a horrible display. It was embarrassing. It was bad, and what was worse was Tom Hanks doing the introduction for the problematic characters. There should be more. They didn't give enough time to the or enough I should say enough homage to the great characters of the past. No, they had to call most of the great ones problematic or
of course
didn't age well. That's the one. That's what it was.
So one of my friends is Dina Martin, the daughter of Dean Martin. You may have met her. She's really chill. And of course, I was talking to her a while back about the problematic song that Dean Martin it's "Baby It's Cold Outside."
Yes.
What the hell? I mean, come on. And I've talked to a number of women. They're not offended by that remotely. I mean, it's just this, by the way, but the left is up in arms. I don't know if you knew this. Google has gone full anti-woke. They dropped everything off. All the LGBTQ holidays.
Yes.
Harvey Milk Your Cow Day is gone. Nancy Pelosi's grand adventure in lesbian history is gone. None of that. It's all gone. So it's nothing better than hearing Nancy Pelosi lecturing about lesbians.
Yeah.
That's like, man, I can't believe they dropped that.
No, that was
So it's all gone.
but the good thing was about the last night's or the Saturday Night Live special from Sunday night was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was able to show up for this one. And that was absolutely beautiful. She's one of my favorite Saturday Night Live characters, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Did you get to hear this one?
No, this is good. Let's do this.
Hi, Michael. Hello, Callum. Notice anything different about me?
Oh, are you pregnant?
Wow. You just assume I'm pregnant just because I have a baby inside me. That's misogynistic.
Well, congratulations. We're so happy for you, and it's nice to see you.
Oh, is it nice, Michael? Yeah, is it nice to be on the verge of the apocalypse? It's devastating.
It's like just watching her on the congressional floor, just on Saturday Night Live.
Aliens aren't here illegally. Yes, ma'am. It's a federal. It's against the law. Well, it's not really an important law. Yeah, it kind of is an important law. Well, it's not like they want to break the law. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if they want to or not. They are. So anyway, yeah, it's kind of that was cringe, but very accurate. So who else? Any other special clips? Because I didn't get to see this. I just read things about it.
Honestly, it was so bad. It was not very good. There were a couple of decent ones where you had Bill Murray and Cullen Jost joking about the top news anchors. I think Dennis Miller should have been higher, but it was just a joke to keep Cullen Jost off the list. A lot of this was relying on the newer cast more than bringing in the older cast. And there was a lot of the older cast, but not enough. The newer cast, they had these newer things. And I believe a lot of people who tuned into this haven't seen much of the show in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And that's another, that was an issue.
They were getting funny with the Kamala stuff. I got to say, I mean, they kind of went after Trump a little bit, but man, not like the old Alec Baldwin. I'm going to get Trump and
the guy that does Trump now is better. The guy that does Trump now is a lot better because he doesn't do it viciously like Alec Baldwin does. Yeah. But he does it. The mannerisms are perfect. He's perfect. He stands the wobble, the hands. It's absolutely perfect. Maya Rudolph, who did Kamala Harris, was absolutely perfect. But again, we couldn't sacrifice another 4 years of her.
Well, I think she enjoyed doing it, and seeing them together on stage that one time was kind of funny. But I just think that they could have done themselves, a solid by actually bringing back some of the funny folks from the past, because the most of the current folks are just not funny. I think it's going to take a year to get the woke out of their hair and maybe start thinking about having some real good writers come in and write. So we'll see.
Exactly. Well, maybe Baldwin can come and help them out with shooting practice.
Well, I think that he could be. They could redo the shootout at the OK Corral and see who comes out.
That's right. And of course, Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi are joining the Olympics. They're going to try to start the hammer throw, or they're going to try to try out for the hammer throw event. So that's going to be good. So we're all doing well.
I wonder, is she like bionic now? Because they had to replace her hip. Is she like the bionic woman? But, Lindsay Summer, who played the bionic woman, I don't mean to insult her because it was a good series, but that Nancy is kind of a cyborg, sort of. Right.
Nancy's part of the Borg. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely the Borg collective, if you will.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when she and Gavin. Do you think she's going to support Gavin to bring him in for president?
Will it matter? I'm gonna be honest with you. Will it matter if she?
I don't think it will.
The torch has to be passed to a younger generation, and the Democrats from under Pelosi barely know what they're doing at this point. It's going to be an embarrassment of embarrassment. Yes.
An epic thing. All right, so we got a guest. Let's bring in our guest this morning. Sargis, right? It's Colonel.
I'm surrounded by lieutenant colonels, Lieutenant Colonel Sargis Sanjari, and of course Lieutenant Colonel retired
Good
Tony
morning.
Shafer, all around.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sargis. How are you? Good to see you.
It's good to be here. It's good to see you guys again, and happy President's Day, I guess, for our listeners out there.
Is that today?
It's today.
That's right. It is today. That explains why my girlfriend's still sleeping in bed right now, because she said, I don't have to get up to go to work today. It's like, what?
Oh, lucky.
She's in the Navy. So, we should play that song, In the Navy. Anyway, I digress. But it's like, yeah, I don't have to go into work today. It's like, well, I got to go to work. I gotta be at work. But anyway, so Sargis, it's good to see you. A lot of things are going on. And man, oh man, since the last time we spoke, the world has changed dramatically. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just way different. So what do you make of the new changes? Do you think it's gonna stick?
I don't know. I mean, last time me and you spoke, actually, you came on my show, and then we were talking about prior to the invasion, the Russians going into Ukraine, and look where we are today.
Yeah.
I mean, look, these changes have to stick. If they don't stick in the next year or so, and even the economy doesn't recover, if you see challenges coming up in the midterms, unfortunately, we're going to have problems, because you could see a complete reset back to where we don't want to be at all. You thought it was bad under the Biden administration. We got to make sure that what the current administration is trying to do is cauterize and finalize
Right.
before the midterm. So hopefully it will.
So let me ask you that question, because one of the notable features of this White House is its pace. I mean, man, oh man, it's like they hit the ground from noon on inauguration day until now. They've never stopped. I mean, I think Trump taking a lap in the beast around Daytona was a good symbology of what he's doing. It's like, we're in a race. We're just going to keep going. So do you think Trump and the team can keep up this pace to keep things changing as we go?
Yeah, the pace is not the issue. Is whether or not we're going to have the economic capability and the military capability to be able to affect any changes that we might not be seeing right now.
Yeah.
I just came back from Panama. I was down there. I went there before the sixth state went down to do my own assessment as to what was taking place, and kind of knew that you were going to be able to use your energy company AES there to be able to leverage and try to possibly push those Hutchinson companies are controlling the ports on both sides of the Panama out. Now, look, if they decide not to play and decide to make it very difficult, they can make it very difficult on Panamanian economy. But I think with the U.S. knowing how to leverage that capability, it will give us an opportunity to even expand regionally. Again, the lines of I think for most folks, and this. The lines of communication and control, whether it be the seaways and Panama Canal, or whether it be the land bridges, where even the Egyptians and the Hittites are fighting each other over the Khabar River Valley, where the Iranians are trying to build the Shia Crescent. The geography doesn't change, so we just have to be able to control those lines. And it comes to energy, right? Because if you take a look at what's happening in Asia, it's easier, cheaper for the Japanese and the South Koreans to get, natural gas from Russia. It's cost more money for us to be able to provide that for them. Same thing with the Europeans. You see on the 22nd, the Germans are going to go through an election. The Populist Party has already stated that they're hedging their bets to, once the war is done between Ukraine, to still purchase natural gas from Russia. So if that's something that we have to be able to address through our economic.
Well, I have said on Newsmax that commerce is the language of peace, and that language is made successful by energy. Energy is that which underwrites our ability to have, I think, successful commercial relationships. So I think you made a very important point. Now, two things on that point. First, Trump's already pulled us out of the climate accords. The Paris Climate Accords were out of that, which was never really about climate. It was all about
10 billion a year.
It was all about elite control of energy and justifying their whole phony baloney. Oh, climate, that's gone. Thank goodness. It meant nothing except to drain our coffers to benefit others. China and India, who are two of the biggest CO2 producers. By the way, CO2 is not dangerous. It's a plant food. I have to keep reminding people of that. They were the biggest producers of that because they had energy, and we were being left behind because they did. And the second thing I want to mention is that because the Germans have bought into this whole climate nonsense, they have deindustrialized their industry. they were shutting down nuclear plants, which are the best non-carbon emitting form of energy, by the way, just saying. They allowed the United States, I'll just say it, the U.S. to hit Nord Stream, to blow it up. And I think Germany is going to go conservative this next election. And I think it's going to be something to see that President Trump has to resolve. He's got to get this resolved, because otherwise the globalists were going to continue to basically use energy to limit the ability of certain countries to prosper. Would you agree with that, Sargis, that was part of what the scheme was?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will tell you that and will argue that it was the World Economic Forum that pushed Europe into
Absolutely.
the war with Ukraine. And if you think about it, really, the Russians, if you go back and look at their economy, the case could be made that the invasion of Ukraine wasn't because Putin wanted to take over Ukraine and reset the old order. It was because he was getting squeezed so badly economically. Even
Yes,
being a member
absolutely.
of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, he wasn't able to do it. So because of that, we are where we are today. But like I
Yeah.
said, it's a matter of how we use our economic power. And keep in mind, again, as we know what happened with COVID, right? I was in Korea in December of 2019 because the Chinese economy was failing in July, August of that year. It was about to collapse. And I was looking at what was coming out of maybe China. And of course, we know the COVID came out and hit us, as we pulled 1,000 people out of Mission China in January of 2020.
Right. Well, two things I want to hit regarding kind of that tax. So a lot of folks in the chat want to talk about JD Vance's speech, which I do too.
Yeah, we'll be doing that.
Because this relates directly to kind of the direction of things and why it's so important. But one of the other things that's been happening is that Sargis, you and I are friends. We've been talking for a long time. There's other folks like Andy McCarthy. Andy McCarthy came out with some real criticism of the Trump method, saying, "Oh, we didn't sign up for this." And I think Andy McCarthy, who I know personally, he's a friend of my old boss, Dr. London. He's come out as a neocon, basically saying, "Oh my God, I'm not for all this change that holds people accountable." So it's a two-part question. Do you think that we're going to see, like never before, a revealing of who the neocons and globalists are in the ranks of our government, who we maybe thought were on our side or not? And relating to that, do you think we're going to see more of JD Vance going out and basically being very Reagan-esque and pointing out we're going to do certain things based on principles? So what do you think on it?
I mean, we have to do it based on principle, right? So you have to understand that the problem is changing other people's minds whose career has been being that neocon may be very difficult. And that's just the reality of what we have to face. I mean, I've had people call me, even guys out of state, saying, "Oh my God, look at what's happening with USAID. If you have organizations downrange that are no longer able to support, the Chinese are backfilling where USAID is leaving." I'm like, well, the Chinese were there to begin with. I mean, they might as well pay anyway. They were doing it behind the scenes. So why would we be there to give them leverage and coverage? Let them go ahead and own the battle space if that's the case and see how it lays out. I don't think the Chinese are going to be able to sustain, especially given their demographics and where their, really their economy might be heading. But again, I go back to what I had written in 2016, which was a New Power Relations, which was a speech that Wang Yi had given at the Brookings Institute. Unfortunately, at that time, under President Obama, when Susan Rice took the stage, instead of talking about how to counter, she talked about how to actualize that vision. And that was what we were working on until this term of Trump. Even on the first term of Trump, we were kind of hedging that direction, right? Where we were ceding in large vast of Asia to the Chinese. Again, the biggest issue is going to be where we're going to be economically, because we don't reset ourselves economically here, midterms coming up, and maybe another virus being introduced into the equation, it will be difficult. And I just want to make sure that, as this thing is going to get worse, it's not going to get better across the board, that if we are going to change these systems, we got to completely change it.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because one of the things we brought up at the beginning of the show, and it's on my social media, both X and Facebook, is that I was actually meeting with my friend Blaine Holt, General Holt. We were down in Mar-a-Lago for the National Veterans Parade Gala. And one of the things that came up during our conversation is what you're talking about right now. U.S. aid, all these, the infrastructure. And part of the issue, as far as I'm concerned, not why I have no problem with U.S. aid being torn down, is that so many Democrat institutions were on the take. That is to say that, yeah, they were spending money overseas, but all that money would come back to think tanks in D.C. and New York, and they would fund uh, conferences, speaking fees. All that money was coming back to fund the left-wing ecosystem. So we, the London Center for Policy Research, were attacked vigorously by everyone, to include some folks on the right. I won't mention names, but some of the usual suspects didn't like us because we weren't part of their team. Turns out they were on the take. We weren't. And it was funny because the Daily Beast, Chris, put that back up there for the folks to see, because I think it's hilarious. I was upset about it when it came out. It's like, oh, but looking back on it, it's a badge of honor, because we were a creepily influential think tank that nobody heard of. Well, it's because we weren't getting paid by the usual sources. So it's interesting now to look back on it, to think about what we thought was bad. Oh my God, this is terrible. They're attacking us. No, it was good they were attacking us because they were all corrupt and we weren't. So do you think we're going to continue to see this trend of defunding the leftists, who were basically, is it coming up? There it is. Yeah, there. So we were Sargis, we were creepy because we weren't on the take, because we were independent. So yeah, there's Joe, like with his aid. What do you think people should go to jail about this whole grift scheme that they had at USAID to fund Democrat efforts here in the States?
There's a lot there. I remember my first tour in Iraq. It was just my team and my buddy's team at the time. He was in the east, I was in the west, in Al-Anbar.
Yeah.
This is before the first surge started in 2007, in February, January of the time when it was declared by Bush. We had money that was going in for a project that was not being built. And that road, I'm not going to mention, which was in Al-Anbar, going up into the city of, from Heat all the way to Haditha, was constantly being laid with IEDs. And I finally got to a point, I got so angry about it, that I had a bilingual, bicultural advisor, one of the general officers that had served in the Saddam regime. And I said, look, go on vacation. Here's $200 out of pocket, because you not going to be paid by U.S. military. I want you to go to Jordan, find out where this contract's going. And it was one guy, an American expatriate, who didn't even have his own printer, running a computer, printing stuff out of the office next door to him. And he kept on delaying the process of the build of that road, because he was saying that it's dangerous for this to happen. So on the security guys, he wasn't doing it. So guess where the money was going? The money was going into the pockets of the company. That company, the gentleman who ran it, was tied to the network that was tied to the terror operations that were feeding the IED laying of of those IEDs.
There you go. Yeah.
And those are us. And the same ones was being approved by, at that time, United States, Corps of Engineers, USACE. And that team that they had operating out of Haditha had targeted my team twice with IEDs. We got hit 7 times. So I literally had to go tell the USACE major, I go, hey, you do know that contract is a USAID contract, but it's going into this network and it's targeting my guys to kill me. So U.S. money was being used to possibly kill me and my team and others that were operating in the area. But when the major was like, well, we have to stop this, we can't allow this to happen, I said, yeah, just let them get water. At least I can figure out how to survive in a battlefield. But we got to make go back up.
That was happening across the board. No, same thing in Afghanistan. We were paying essentially cutouts of the Taliban to move gas. There she is. She is like, she is so evil. I have no words I can use to describe her. And that's tough for me. I mean, but Sargis in Afghan. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I did want to say, just to your point here, Samantha Power, at least the revelation of what she made over those years had prompted the Trump administration now to look into federal workers and, of course, politicians who have made all sorts of money in public service. So this is my point, discovering what she did.
So USAID had a larger budget than CIA, $40 billion. and they were up to no good globally. And Sargis, to your point, we knew, and we knew this. It was documented that U.S. aid was paying Taliban fronts in Pakistan to allow us, the United States, to move fuel tanks from Karachi into the interior of Afghanistan. Because we have a very thirsty Air Force and Army. We have a lot of gas. So you pay us, we'll let it all go in. It was the most insane. We paid for both sides of the war, and we kept saying this. And nobody would listen, not until Trump. But that's the thing. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Sarge.
The Sons of Iraq program. We basically paid people not to kill us. And it was ridiculous that we did that, but it was what it is. And sometimes, look, I think the people are working the system, to include, as I mentioned, that expatriate who was working for this company. I don't think they knew what the hell is going on. They just had a job. They kind of were working through the process. They were doing what their expertise allows them, but they didn't know that they were being used indirectly.
Well,
to do
but some people do. Some people do. And I used to advise back in about 2012, 13. I advised the Federal Reserve, and Sargis, the Federal Reserve had pictures of C-130s full of cash, pallets of cash that was going into Iraq. Now, they didn't want to do it. They recognized this ain't going to end up with the right people, but they did it because they were told to do it. So a lot of people were benefiting from this. Yeah, just shut your mouth and go. And I've talked to people, you probably have too. It's like, yeah, we know it's corrupt, but we're getting paid, and I've got kids to put through school. I'm not going to make waves. And I think that's part of the system we have. That, and I as a former whistleblower, I paid that price. I'm not complaining. I've had a great experience after, becoming crossing that line and then going back. With that said, a lot of people don't have the courage of their convictions, and therefore, Sargis, they just become part of the system and just go along and get along. And I think that's what's going to have to end. Is that President Trump? I don't think he's going to have to put people in jail who just kind of didn't know they were part of a corrupt contract. But people like her, like Sam Power, she needs to be in jail. What do you think?
Look, I don't know what's going to happen with Department of Justice, but I think with everything being shown now, how money was being laundered, where it was going, how bad it was, how we're losing, if there's no legal issues and somebody doesn't have to pay the cost at the end, even the closest advisors that are advising the current POTUS right now, and good advisors, good military guys, they may hedge their bets and say, look, I don't know where we're going to be in another 4 years. Trump may leave, but, I don't want to have to take a step. So
two other things I want to hit then. Yeah. So let's do that, because Trump, so Trump was asked, is JD Vance your heir apparent? And he said, no. I don't know what that means. I don't want to get into it, but I know one thing that the Patriots in the chat have said: JD Vance is as effective as Ronald Reagan in articulating our values. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I think he's I haven't seen anything negative. I think a lot of people were initially wanting him to stay in the Senate for the long term, to be a leader in the Senate. But it is what it is. Trump made the choice to pick him.
What?
I may have an answer for that too, though, gentlemen. The thing is, Vance is doing great so far. But remember, the most popular man on a football team is the backup quarterback. It's the guy that comes in if the first stringer gets hurt or maybe has a poor game or two, plays a couple of great games, but when the book's on him, he gets exposed. So we're not sure if we need to see Vance for 4 years before we can call him the heir apparent to Donald Trump. This is a very small sample. Now, he's been absolutely spectacular, but again, we have to see a little more from him as voters to hire him as the heir apparent to Donald Trump. So it's best to say, hey, let's reserve our judgment. But what he's done so far puts him at the front.
And I think if Trump had come out and said, yes, he's a guy, it would put him under the target. So actually, Trump is alleviating some pressures off of him by saying, well, he has the ability, but we don't know yet. It gives him an opportunity for people who are targeting the current regime, the current POTUS, and the administration to kind of go, okay, who's the person that we don't know about, and let them kind of go do their piece, and it alleviates some of the pressures off of Vance.
Now, on the other hand, remember when Wally Pipp stepped down, Lou Gehrig took over. So there's the other chance too when it comes to JD Vance.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I want to hit on is that JD and my friend Pete Hegsteth actually flamed the Europeans. First off, Pete went over and kind of laid the groundwork. He kind of said, hey, yeah, you need to step up, Europe. If you want to continue the war, you need to do it. That didn't go over well. And then JD comes in and says, yeah, you're all a bunch of Marxist knuckleheads. You're cutting, you're not, you don't have democracies. You're cutting free speech. And that came as a real shock to the system. Chris, didn't you say someone was crying over that? Do you have that clip?
I do, as a matter of fact. The chairman of this event that Rubio spoke at. Well, we'll go to Rubio's speech, but we're skipping ahead to this. This guy was so upset. He was the chairman of the Munich Security Conference. That's what it was. He had a heartfelt, very disappointed, let's just say, monologue, if you will. Let's hear him. There's the applause. Look at him cry.
After the speech of Vice President Vance on Friday, we have to fear that our common value base is not that common anymore.
Good.
All those European politicians that spoke out and reaffirmed the values and principles that they are defending. No one did this better than President Zelensky.
Really?
Let me conclude, and this becomes difficult.
Oh, I can't go on. Oh my God.
What a crybaby. That's right, fuckhead.
Oh, poor baby.
Spectacular.
What did the Vito Beard man say? Did he hurt you?
You're turning the money off.
Amazing.
I'm so shocked, says Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
That's right. I'm going to lose my Mercedes X Series. I can't drive it anymore. I can't afford the gas. I love this because they are so full of themselves in the EU. These unelected bureaucrats. They always talk about democracy. All these folks are unelected. They run around like they're princes and princesses, princes and princesses. I think I can say that. It's like they're the European royal family. And man, oh man, I mean, we've been footing the bill. So Sargis, I have a two-part question for you, and I do want to get to the ship collision here in a second because I want to, that's part of your area of the world. But we're basically saying we're not funding your party anymore. You need to figure this out. And oh, by the way, you're all a bunch of Marxists. And we're not on board with that. So how do you think the Europeans are going to take this message and go forward?
Well, look, I want to go back to what I had said when I was interviewed about the Iran nuclear deal. And I said it's not a nuclear deal. It's a deal to economically try to save Europe. Remember, once we struck that deal under Obama, the first people that landed in Tehran were the U.S. Oil companies. But after they left, the next were the Europeans. And the British, when they went in to, God bless the British, they know how to play the political game, even though they're our allies. They went into Iran. They literally paid Iranians on the ground to protest next to the building that they were having strategic discussions on economic issues with their Iranian counterparts. So they're paying Iranians to demonstrate and scream death to America. While they're having these discussions, and then basically turning around in those discussions saying, yeah, I know you want to have the U.S. come in here, but why don't you have the U.S. companies come through our companies in the EU, our companies in England, in order to be able to strike those deals so that the U.S. companies can become subcontractors. We saw the same thing with money going in initially approved by the U.S. for the Ukraine effort on the previous POTUS Biden. And it was who was actually underbidding. It was the Chinese companies working with European advisors to underbid the American companies that would come in here to Ukraine and support the Ukrainian effort as it was trying to fight its way against Russia. And I go back to the piece that I agree with, as most have said. I think it was Europe that pushed this war. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
And
I want to have you come back and talk about the roots of the war, because one of the things Donald Trump has said is that we played a much greater role in this. And I do think it comes down to resources. I've said from day one two things. First, this is about the fact that Ukraine has gas and oil. They don't want a competitor. That is the Russians. Secondly, Ukraine was never going to win. The numbers were never there. I said this from the first month. It's like, this is what it's about, and they're never going to win. So here we are 3 years later. And yeah, I told you so. Just saying. But we need to talk about how to permanently resolve this. Vance has talked about it. Pete Hegseth has talked about it. Trump has talked about it. But there's some folks like the Europeans who keep saying, "Oh, Ukraine stopped Russia from invading Europe." It's like Putin was never going to invade Europe. They've created this whole alternate universe within their ecosphere, and they even and at this conference they kept talking about it. Oh, Zelensky is the only man who had the courage to stand up against Putin. It's like, no, it's not what it's about. But I don't want to. We can't get into that today. I do want to have you come back for a longer discussion on that. But one of the things I do want to talk about is what you've referred to already, our military. So right now we're going through another transition. Within the last month, less than a month, they've eliminated LGBTQ people from the military. They're still in there, but they're going to transition them out. They've stopped all. And by the way, Sargis, I don't know if you knew this. They were actually conducting surgeries to remove men and women's bits and pieces in the military as a recruiting incentive. That stopped. The word came down about a week ago saying, you stop that now. And by the way, there were surgeons about to do surgery the day that this happened. They were still trying to get people under the wire. And I know of at least one situation where a doctor had to be called and threatened to say, you will not conduct the surgery today. Because they were still, there's a bunch of folks who were trying to get around. But transition them out. Both transition them out before. Yes, that's great. Hardman, SH. I agree with you. Transition them out. With that said, what do you make of the transition? And let's talk about what happened in the Red Sea with the aircraft carrier hitting that's not easy to do. So let's talk about the issues regarding social engineering stopping, and we'll talk about the aircraft carrier. But what do you think about the stopping of social engineering within the military?
Well, I think you kind of see it right now, right? The last piece of information I looked at showed that we might be possibly opening up 10 new recruiter processing stations across the United States. Because, you have so many people that are joining. And yes, I would join under the current administration. I'd be honest with you, my son had gone and scored the highest when he was initially recruited by the Marines in his physical fitness test. And but I was hesitant because I didn't know if I wanted to put a guy under the Biden administration. And I told him, you make a decision. He's going to Columbia now. He's on the dean's list for 4.0. And that's Columbia, Chicago, not Columbia, where the crazy people are in New York. But
right,
I
get that.
Not here.
I would have loved to have seen my son go in and maybe even try to become a commissioned officer or enlisted. But I was hesitant. I couldn't tell him yes or no. And I'm glad that at least that change is happening. And look, we have to get our military up to par. I mean, as we talked about, what happened in the just above the Suez Canal when we had that Panamanian, flagged, bulker, as it's called, basically having an accident with Harry Truman, leaving a kind of a gash, when it comes to the carrier side. Of course, it was above the waterline, but at the same time, it pierced the hull. And when you look at some of the things that are leading to this accident, you have to go back to question, why do we have a law on the books going back to the 1930s that says you have to be a aviator to be able to be the commander of aircraft carriers? The guy knows how to fly our aircraft, but he doesn't know how to navigate the seas. And of course, Captain Snowden, David Snowden, is most likely going to be relieved because of this.
No doubt. No doubt.
Good guy, 96 graduate, of Annapolis, bachelor degree in aerospace engineering. But again, there has to be a cost associated with it, right? You can't just make these mistakes. Now, if we go back all the way to the two accidents that took place, for audience who may know with Fitzgerald and McCain, going back years ago, that's sustained damage. We still haven't been able to change our ability going back to 2017. We only have still, since then, only two really rescue and salvage ships in the Navy's,
Oh yeah, we're going to go through that here soon with Sal Mercogliano, our friend Sal, to go through all this. When is Sal coming on, by the way? Is that this month?
We have him set for next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. So Sal Mercogliano, by the way, what's going on in shipping? Chef's kiss. Boy, if you want to know what's going on, but Sargis, Sal goes through and talks about all these deficits. You brought up one. There's other things that are hugely wrong with
Hi.
the
Welcome
Navy today. And it has nothing to do with funding. It's just the structure. They've not had the right priorities. I would argue they've been focused far too much on DEI, which is what got the Coast Guard commandant fired because she was taking operational fundings. And for those in the audience, for those Patriots, what's going on with shipping? Just check out Sal, check out his site. He makes a boring subject come to life. And I'm not joking. He's spectacular. I think you'll enjoy his take. He's just no nonsense, kind of like us. It's kind of cool. Anyway,
if you think about it, though, I mean, look, just in a microcosm of this incident, you have U.S. Navy ships that are turning off their locator finders. Okay, they get in an accident. Well, every freaking Navy guy on a Navy ship has a cell phone. There's satellites. The enemy's always tracking you. So why are you turning off something when people can track you? And now they're going back to the old Lorraine system to try to use it because their GPS system doesn't work. So instead of working on building new GPS systems, instead of going back to the Lorraine system, and if you Google search Lorraine system and you go back and take a look, you could buy it, at least the platform capabilities off of eBay. So that means if I'm a Russian, now, you're about to go back to an old system that you're using, I could go back and purchase it on eBay. I could basically, reverse engineer it, and I could send you false information off of a radar system you're using. We are not where we need to be when it comes to these builds. So look at what happened with the drone issues. And there's a gentleman, Hans Mom, I don't know if you know him. He's actually on my board as an advisor for my company, Near East Center for Strategic Engagement. And that gentleman has written books on this. And he's saying how far back we are behind where we should be right now. So those are the big issues that we have to clean up. And as that's being cleaned up and Trump is trying to get this system and completely tear it apart, that's one of the worries I have, that the people around him understand his vision, not only understand it, but actually go to bat for it as best as possible. And I hope that we don't have anybody there who hesitates as an advisor supporting the current POTUS to get this done.
Well, so let me hit that real quick. So I believe, and we've talked about it here on the show quite a bit, and Sargis, we want you to come back. We talk more about this too, because as I think I talked about on your show, I figured out early on that the whole Russia collusion thing was a fiction. I said so to our friend, the evil overlord, Ed, who, we're on Ed's show, and Pete Hegseth. Pete was on the comfy couch, the curvy couch on March 8th of 2017 when I said, oh yeah, President Trump. But the problem was, Sargis, even though we had figured it out really early, John Kelly, Jim Mattis, those guys were the safety rails to keep Trump isolated. So they were trying to direct Trump without letting him get in. And one time I went to Kelly and said, I need to talk to the president about having the Army, U.S. Army, because we have our own counterintelligence corps. We need the Army to go to do a case review of FBI's foreign counterintelligence cases, because we knew what we'd find. We'd find that they weren't actually doing foreign counterintelligence. They were spying on political parties. And John Kelly said to my face, Tony, I am never going to allow you to talk to the president because all you're going to do is inflame his instincts, unquote. So it's like, so that's what we were up against. So to your point, Trump doesn't need to be managed. He needs to be given the information as it is. So do you think Tulsi's going to do that? Tulsi Gabbard will be able to do that, give him real information so he can actually do his job as president?
I hope that's the reason she was chosen, and I think she
I hope
would
so.
get as close to it as anyone else that could have been for that position. I'll give you a perfect example for your viewers as we probably closing out. I have a
Yeah.
friend of mine. Okay, the guy was a Uber driver, an old man. When before the invasion of Iraq took place under President Bush, he actually went in front of the UN and put himself on the cross for 3 days. When he was
Wow.
interviewed as to why you're doing this, he said, if you invade Iraq, Christianity in the Middle East is dead. He said, I'm telling you, if you do that, you're going to kill Christianity. Today, there's 100,000 Assyrian Christians left, maybe in northern Iraq, where they were 1.2 million to almost 2 million that were there. So
I know it's horrible.
And Uber Lyft driver knew because he was on the ground. He lived in that society. He knew exactly what was about to be unleashed on the humanity. And all these so-called sophisticated advisors with these PhDs that we always have said piled higher and deeper had no concept or clue. And that's the reality you're dealing with. I think that some of these individuals that we have on the current administration, on the POTUS, at least he's chosen them with the full understanding that they are going to be able to bring his vision to light within the system processes. And I hope it happens. We'll see at the end. Again, we have to deal with the courts and the stupidity of the other side.
Evil of the other side, pure evil. But speaking of evil, there's no evil in our with our Patriots. We're all are thankful for God. As a matter of fact, are we having Jesus calling tomorrow, Chris? Is Katie gonna is Karen gonna be here tomorrow?
We're gonna have Karen and we're gonna have Michael Ho with us tomorrow. So yes, we'll have a Jesus
Mike,
calling.
my friend, Mike. Mike, you mean you mean Matt Ho, not Mike.
Matt Ho. I said Michael. So this is what I'm going. This is what I'm doing. I'm typing back and forth, and I'm having my Biden and Kamala moments here. This is how they fried my brain over 4 years.
That's right. No, Matt's been on. I don't think he's been on this show. He was on our old show.
He was on the Hard Truth.
Matt is a good guy. Matt got screwed over by the Democrats here in North Carolina. Just saying, when he ran against them for the Green Party, and Matt's, I just for the record, I invite everybody who has an opinion that they can articulate on the show. And Ed supports me on this. Matt's not a conservative, but he's a really good guy, and he's got views which I think are compatible with what we're talking about today. Accountability, looking at things as they are. Yeah, he wants to have a few more, Bernie Sanders types things, but nobody's perfect. And by the way, Bernie Sanders is like sold out too. He's like one of the Marxist guys. I guess he always
the billionaires. It's not the millionaires anymore because I'm a millionaire, and they help me out with that. So it's only the billionaires that have to be taxed.
That's right. That's right. Ignore the 5 homes that Bernie has and his 18 manservants. There's nothing wrong with manservants. I don't care. If you can have manservants, have them all you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about polishing the silver. That's all.
Just don't kill them when they know too much.
That's right. Don't put them on a kayak and pretend or like a surfboard and put them in a bay somewhere. Let's not do that. Anyway, Sargis, it was great having you here today. Thanks for joining us on Wake Up Patriots, on Ed Henry's Wake Up Patriots.
Hey-yo.
And we'll have you back. And Patriots, it's been great seeing you guys all show up here on Monday morning on President's Day because it's just another day of work for me, right, Chris? It's just like we just got to get out here and
we didn't even know it was a holiday today.
Well, I was wondering why nobody showed up for work in the military. It's like, what? Oh, that's right. It's a holiday. So they still get those things. We don't get holidays. As a matter of fact, we don't get, I think Christmas, it's like working at Home Depot. Christmas is the only day you have off. And that's pretty much true of what we do. So,
Yeah.
And even that day I worked, I think. So anyway,
Sargis,
we'll have you back.
Appreciate it. God bless, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Sargis. Thank you. Yeah,
Thanks
and let me know when you want back on your show too. I'm happy to jump on your show as well. So
I think I want to have you back on the National Security Hour because I'm doing 2 shows. But this year I'm going to close on my new paradigm, put it on the shelf a little bit. I have so much stuff I got to deal with. It's just overwhelming,
We too. Yeah,
Yes,
we do too.
So
we're gonna move back to whelming, but that's the overwhelming is kind of fun sometimes.
That's right. So anyway, but we're not overwhelmed for the Patriots. We'll see the Patriots again tomorrow morning with Karen and our friend Matt, my friend Matt. He'll soon be your friend because you're going to like Matt. Matt's a cool guy. He lives in Chapel Hill in North Carolina, by the way.
I'm working on bringing a friend from overseas for Wednesday, by the way.
Oh, good.
You remember
Well, I'd
Dawn
love to have
Perry?
a certain friend who lives in London back on, but she would be arrested if she joins us.
Working on that because I got her friend
right.
who you've met before too, Dawn Perry, and we're going to talk.
Oh, I love
what's
Dawn.
going on overseas.
She texted me. She was in the country, and she said, "I thought you were close." Like, no, I'm in Florida. So I
No,
gotta
we
call her
were
back
talking
today.
over the weekend. So yeah,
I love Dawn.
yeah,
But
she
not
wants to come on
literally.
with you. She can't wait to see you again. So it'll be
Yeah,
cool.
she's great. Dawn
We're
Perry,
working on
you'll
her
love
for
Dawn.
Wednesday.
Dawn's great, and she's
Yes.
got this great British accent, right?
Yeah.
So,
But she's going to talk about the congestion pricing over there. She's going to talk about
oh
the
my God,
monitoring
yeah,
of
we
people.
can.
By the way, I had a video queued up. We can always use it on Wednesday about with 60 Minutes doing a raid in Germany. Did you see this? They actually filmed a raid in Germany on a guy who put a meme up that the government didn't like.
Yeah, see, that's nuts.
Disgusting.
That's Nazi nuts. That's Nazi level nuts. Just saying.
Right. Yep.
So,
Hey, look, as
yeah.
I said, they're so upset about. I mean, like the guy that was crying today. I haven't seen Germans cry like that since 1945.
That's right.
I think
Well,
Europe is lost, unfortunately. I don't know if it will
Yeah.
ever recover. So.
The Germans haven't cried that bad since they found out Eva Braun was really a guy. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Hey, if they try to nullify the next German election because they didn't like the results, that's when we know Europe is lost.
They did that multiple times. Yeah. Oh, the social media screwed things up. Yeah. Okay. You can go with
People
that, but
fought
it's
for
not going to last.
themselves.
All right. We got to go. Patriots.
Hey, folks.
Good seeing you all. Thanks,
Thank you.
Argus. We'll see you all tomorrow morning, bright and early, for another great episode of Wake Up Patriots. We'll be waking up with you then. Thanks.